I've never been much of a fan of this matchup, though I do get the theme. Alien Conqueror Dad versus Alien Conqueror Dad. It's not a bad matchup, it's just not my thing. And it certainly is a popular matchup in the who would win sphere. Death Battle is far from the first to cover it. Check the video description for links to various Bardock versus Omni-Man fights I've found. So let's get right into it. Who do I want to see win? Omni-Man, because I think the Saiyan Death Parade is hilarious, and I want to see it continue. But who do I think will win? Well, every version of the fight in the who would win sphere has Bardock as the winner, so he's been well established as the expected winner. Here, take a look at some of them.
You're pretty good.
But should Bardock be the winner? To make a determination, I'm going to compare their standard versions and only their standard versions. So no weird crossover scaling for Nolan, and no weird MMORPG scaling for Bardock. I don't want to even think about who wins when you factor in non-standard versions, because then the fight becomes less Bardock versus Omni-Man and more Spawn versus the Xenoverse Create-A-Character, which I'm sure is a match someone somewhere out there wants very, very badly, but for me, it's boring. Let's start our comparison by discussing raw power. Bardock should be about Nappa level, give or take. Nappa had a power level of 4,000 or 7,000 depending on the source. Master Roshi had a power level of 180 and blew up the moon. Now that 180 was his own personal power level, and we know that Earthling key techniques can have their own power level greatly in excess of those that use them. For instance, when Goku fought Raditz, he had a base power level of 416, but his Kamehameha had a power level of 950, a little more than twice his base power level. So it's entirely possible that instead of needing a power level of 180 to blow up a planet, you need something more like 360. But let's assume for the sake of argument that a power level of 180 is what you need to blow up the moon. So what do you need to blow up the Earth? Well, the moon actually has very little mass compared to the Earth. In fact, the moon only has about 1.2% of the Earth's mass. That means you need Master Roshi times 83 to blow up the Earth. Or to put it another way, a power level of around 14,940. And of course, this being Dragon Ball, characters eventually reach that level of power and even go beyond it. The first one to reach this benchmark was this angry troll doll named Virginia, who had a power level of 15,000 or 18,000 depending on the source. And Virginia indeed tried to blow up the Earth during his big beam clash with Goku. But Bardock isn't the prince of all Saiyans, he's a low-class Saiyan. Like I said, I would personally put him around Nappa's level. Nappa was an elite, the commander-in-chief of the Saiyan military, who stood right below the super elites of the royal family. Bardock can't go beyond Nappa while still being a mere low-class Saiyan. So Bardock in base form would be able to blow up the moon, but not the Earth. Not in one shot, though he probably could do it if he spent a few minutes pelting the Earth with ki blasts. But now we have to talk about his transformations, because all Dragon Ball characters have transformations. His first transformation is his Great Ape form, and it gives him 10 times his power level. Now Bardock can blow up the Earth about 5 times over. Some people think that Bardock shouldn't be allowed his Great Ape form as it relies on him looking at a moon, but I think he should get it. Most death battle matches take place on Earth, so there should be a moon present on one side of the planet. And even if they're fighting on a world without a moon, Cyan attack balls are equipped with hologram projectors that can substitute for a moon. So Bardock's strength ranges from below 1 Earth to 5 Earths. How does that compare with Omni-Man? Can Omni-Man blow up the Earth? The answer is yes, but with caveats. This is a confusing feat I'm about to talk about, so bear with me. During the story of Invincible, Omni-Man, Invincible, and a Viltrumite named Thaddeus destroy planet Viltrum by diving through its core. Viltrum is mostly Earth-like, but its core is very dense and gives the planet a gravity 1.25 times that of Earth, meaning its mass should be a little more than the Earth. The three Viltrumites were worried about going splat while plowing through the core, so they used a supergun wielded by this combination of Lobo and the Silver Surfer named Space Racer to destabilize the core. This gun was able to destroy stars, somehow, but not Viltrum's core. In fact, it was only able to destabilize it for a split second, meaning the three Viltrumites had to go at light speed to hit the core before it restabilized. How a planet's core restabilizes, I don't know, ask Robert Kirkman. Earth's core is iron, so presumably Viltrum's core would be made out of a denser metal like gold or platinum. But how does a core of gold or platinum restabilize? What does it even mean to restabilize? Does the core regenerate itself somehow? Is the implication supposed to be that Viltrum's core is made out of the same smart atoms Viltrumites are made out of? Did ancient Viltrumites pull themselves out of the core, like a perverse race of space maggots? I honestly don't know. I'm just speculating here. Like I said, this is a weird feat to talk about. I guess if you really wanted to, you could make the argument that the core is star level, and thus Omni-Man is beyond star level for breaking it, but I personally wouldn't. Star level Omni-Man feels like swank. I don't like it. I think putting Nolan's power level at a couple of Earths is generous enough. Would that mean he would be around Great Ape Bardock's 5 Earths? I would say that's a fair estimate, though maybe slightly too generous for Nolan. But Nolan certainly wouldn't be close to a power level of 23 Earths. You see, some genius at Toei decided that Bardock should get a Super Saiyan transformation. Yes, the transformation's so rare that it became a legend until Goku unlocked it. And Bardock unlocked Super Saiyan by, fighting this dude named Gas. And it never triggered again. Not when his friends were slaughtered. Not when he was fighting to protect his planet from Frieza. It just never came back. And okay, I guess since his hair didn't fully turn gold, that it's not a full Super Saiyan transformation, and more like, I don't know, Super Saiyan Sign, Super Saiyan Omen. Call it whatever you like. It's basically Super Saiyan, and it's basically lame. Lame as it is, Bardock is a quasi-Super Saiyan. And that means we apply a 50 multiplier to his power level, giving him a power level of 350,000, and the ability to destroy the Earth 23 times over. Unfortunately for Bardock, his power level is still below that of Form 1 Frieza, who had a power level of 530,000, so even if he remembered to activate his Super Saiyan mode against Frieza, he still would have lost. Bummer. And no, I'm not going to count that cutscene in Xenoverse 2. Nothing makes sense in Xenoverse 2. Something time travel magic. And Bardock's power level would be even higher if we stacked Great Ape and Super Saiyan to give him a power level of 3,500,000. That would make him stronger than Final Form Frieza, using about 3% of his power. God, he was just destined to lose that fight against Frieza, wasn't he? But I don't think we should stack Great Ape and Super Saiyan any more than I think we should use star-level Omni-Man. Sure, characters in GT could do it, but those were much more powerful characters who were much more skilled and experienced than Bardock when it came to transformation. The dude activated Super Saiyan once as a fluke. I doubt he has the skill to combine it with a form in which he goes berserk and loses all concentration. Even the video games, which love doing what-if scenarios, have never given Bardock a golden Great Ape form. So with Super Saiyan Bardock, we end up with a Bardock that's either 5 times or 23 times stronger than Nolan, depending on how we interpret him destroying Viltrum. Does Nolan have anything that can mitigate this gap in power? He does, and it's his speed. Intuitively, Omni-Man is much faster than Bardock. Bardock needs an attack ball to travel between planets. Omni-Man just flies. Omni-Man can clearly go FTL while Bardock can't. But of course, this is Death Battle. They're the guys that said James Bond could move faster than light. Odds are they're going to make Bardock faster than light. But how much faster? Exactly. Well, let's say that Kid Goku dodging solar flare back during the Second World Martial Arts Tournament was a light speed feat. Death Battle is likely to say that it was. So you can move faster than light with a power level of about 180. So Nappa and Base Bardock would both be around 22 times the speed of light, and Super Saiyan Bardock would be about 1,100 times the speed of light. But how does that compare to Omni-Man's speed? Not well, actually. While Nolan limits himself to the speed of whooshy blur in Earth's atmosphere to avoid destroying the planet, when he's unrestrained in space, he's able to cross galaxies at speeds of about 3 billion times the speed of light. That's about 2,727,273 times Bardock's speed. Go ahead and stack a few zeros behind Bardock's 22. He's still so slow against Nolan, he might as well not be moving at all. I'm pulling for Omni-Man now, not just for the sake of the Saiyan Death Parade, but because if Bardock wins, then it means that speed just doesn't matter as a factor in death battle matches. Sure, Bardock can be 23 times as strong as Nolan, and that's considerable. But the speed gap is just too huge. It's not just considerable. It's insane. It's ludicrous. I know. I'm sure to win because my speed is superior. But this isn't superior speed. This is starship speed versus snail speed. Now, one could argue that all Nolan's speed means is that he's going to be a fly hitting himself against a brick wall, or to put it another way, Bardock is going to do to Omni-Man what Omni-Man did to Not the Flash. But guys with large power levels in Dragon Ball are very vulnerable to attacks they don't see coming, be that attack a laser ring or a billion rabbit punches aimed at the back of their head. I think Nolan can hurt Super Saiyan Bardock, even if just a little bit, and he only has to hurt Bardock just a little bit to win via death by 1,000 cuts. And what's more, Omni-Man's speed allows him to handle Bardock's transformations. Nolan wouldn't know about the tail being a weak spot for Great Ape Mode, but he would be able to figure out that it has something to do with the moon, given that Saiyans have to stare at it to transform. He shuts down Great Ape form either by destroying the moon or Bardock's attack ball. As for Super Saiyan, that form is very energy intensive and doesn't last forever. Bardock could win by running the clock on it. And here's something I haven't heard many in the Who Would Win sphere discuss. Blowing up the planet, or at the very least destroying the planet's atmosphere, is a viable path to victory for Omniman. Like Saiyans, Viltrumites need air, but while Saiyans can only hold their breath for a few minutes at best, Viltrumites can hold their breath for 3 weeks. As far as Bardock is concerned, Nolan can virtually breathe in space. When Bardock activates Super Saiyan, Nolan is going to learn 2 things. First, that his blows aren't doing as much damage as they did before. Second, that his opponent is breathing very fast and very deeply. Clearly, the Monkey Man needs a lot of air to function. Destroying the atmosphere would be an obvious move to try then. And then, what's Bardock going to do? Fight a guy several thousand times faster than he is, in an environment he has no experience fighting in, while his air supply is running out? No way. Omni-Man could honestly just dip at that point, and he would win. Bardock has no way to catch up to him. Omni-Man could easily find another planet with a breathable atmosphere. Viltrumites have an advanced culture and know how to navigate space, and Omni-Man has 3 weeks to find a new planet. Saiyans don't know how to navigate space. I don't think they even know algebra. They got all their tech from the Arcosians. Remember those guys? So I'm voting Omni-Man. Final answer. I'll admit, I went into this thinking this was going to be a fairly easy win for Bardock, but that was before I learned just how ludicrously huge the speed gap was. But what do you think? Do you think Bardock is going to avenge his bloodline's less than stellar record on Death Battle, or will Omni-Man enter the coveted 2-0 club? Tell me what you think in the comments.